What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Among the Fence. Today we're going to be talking about the album Atonement by the one, the only Killswitch Engage. Killswitch Engage started back in about 1999, and this is their 8th studio album, and it has been about 3 years, since about 2016, since their last album, Incarnate. Killswitch Engage is actually a pretty important band, especially for the metalcore scene, because they're the ones that kind of pushed the scene out from just dive bars and small venues and put them on big stages, especially with their albums End of Heartache and As Daylight Dies. Those albums were groundbreaking for them. And As Daylight Dies came out in 2006. They had 3 other albums come out that were all right. They had a self-titled album that I enjoy quite a bit, but it wasn't quite the same. They didn't bring the inventiveness that they brought in As Daylight Dies. They didn't bring just the refreshing type of music that scene didn't really have at the time, or at least it didn't have in the mainstream. So for Killswitch Engage fans, we basically have just been listening to As Daylight Dies, End of Heartache, Alive or Just Breathing pretty much on repeat, waiting for the next album to come out. So when this album came out, I think it was in August of 2019. When this album came out, it was a pretty big deal. And this album comes in typical Killswitch Engage fashion. It's full of heavy, hard-hitting riffs that just drive on through, and it doesn't let up from start to finish. It just keeps on pounding all the way through the entire album. And overall, this music is pretty solid on this album. The mix is good, the production is really, really tight. All the drum work is fantastic. It can be heard really well. The bass isn't really all that high on it, but with guitars down-tuned as low as they are, I mean, it doesn't really need it all that much. Killswitch has had 2 different vocalists, which is Jesse Leach and Howard Jones. And you kind of like both of them, but you usually prefer one or the other. Like on their albums, End of Heartache and As Daylight Dies, that's all Howard Jones. And honestly, he kind of has a special place in my heart. Jesse Leach doesn't do too bad on this album. I mean, his vocals aren't really a shining point for me, really, at all. They're not really all that great for me. And the song Signal Fire actually features both of the frontmen singing on the choruses, which, if you're a Killswitch Engage fan, it was epic as all hell. My favorite song on the album, which is probably Crownless King, it was really hard to choose a favorite out of this one, but it just reminds me so much of old school Killswitch, where they just bring the aggression, just rawness to the music. The vocals are distorted and dirty all the way through. It just brought me back. And I say it was hard to choose because this whole album honestly kind of reminds me of old school Killswitch Engage. It's all balls to the wall, fast guitar riffs, like I said, that never stop. The drum work is amazing. It's super tight. And this is the part where I'm probably going to make a lot of enemies because I have a lot of opinions. And this is the part where I'm probably going to make a lot of enemies because I do have some negative opinions about this album, unfortunately. If you're a Killswitch fan, this album is freaking amazing. It is cream of the crop. It is hardcore. It is as metalcore as it gets. It is just bare bones, to the point, balls to the wall, non-stop riffage, kind of arpeggio things played throughout the choruses. There's dirty verses and then usually clean singing throughout the choruses. I mean, it is typical basic Killswitch Engage style music. And to me, it's good because they brought what the fans wanted, but at the same time, they haven't really evolved, like, at all. And it's not to say that the music isn't good. It's very, very good. The riffs are very freaking amazing, and they're fat and they're heavy. And like I said, the drum work is really good. But at the same time, it's almost the same thing on every album so far. And I would just like to see a little bit of creativity. I'd like to see them be a little bit more, I don't know, daring with something I do. Like, it's basically rinse and repeat it's just palm muted, chugging riffs throughout the verses. And then the chorus, like I said, there's kind of clean arpeggios, clean singing, and then you basically, that's every song. It's what it is. It's just that over and over and over again, tons and tons and tons and tons. and tons of triplets just over and over and over again, just chugging. And it's good, but at the same time, it's something you can hear on every Killswitch Engage album. It just, you put on an album and it's what you're gonna hear. Not every song on this album is like that, but majority of them are. I would say about 80% of this album is like that. Like the song "I Can't Be the Only One," I really enjoyed that song because it has an atmospheric intro. And it's different. There's just different style of singing. It probably has the best riff on the whole album as far as I'm concerned. And the vocals and the lyrics are a little cheesy, but I mean, you can look past it because it's different. It's something new on the album that you haven't heard, even though it's like the 9th song on the album. It's a little bit more creative. It's not just a basic generic metalcore song. But at the same time, it's kind of just a hard rock song. It's not metalcore at the same time. It's weird. It's almost like they took a softer approach to some songs, which worked well. And then on their harder stuff, it just kind of did the same thing that they always do for the past, 20 years? And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but in Signal Fire, during the chorus with Jesse Leach and Howard Jones, I mean, it was cool. It was epic, but God, what a waste. I felt like they could have done so much more. That chorus, it was so short. It's like a 5-second chorus, and the lyrics in it are just whatever. I mean, they could have been it was a waste. Complete waste of having Howard Jones. Like, it was 20 years in the making, which, like, every fanboy freaking went crazy for it. But then at the same time, like, it's a cool song, I guess, but it was a waste. They could have done so much more with it. Even though the riffs are heavy and they're fast and they're good, they're repetitive. Like I said, there's tons of triplets on this thing. Just constant from the drums, the guitar. There's not a whole lot of variety in riffs. I mean, feels kind of lazy in a sense, but at the same time, it is very Killswitch fashion. It's not like they've been known for anything else, but I would like to just hear something different from them. Like, it would be a breath of fresh air if they did something other than just palm mutes throughout the verses. And even though I spent more time talking crap on this album than I did praising it, I still really enjoyed it. I mean, it is still a really good album, even though it's repetitive and all. It still brought me a lot of enjoyment listening to this album because it is Killswitch and I enjoy them. I'm not a typical fanboy because, I mean, I think thousands of other bands are a lot better and I'll listen to them a lot more. But as far as this album goes, I'm probably not going to go back to it. Maybe like 1 or 2 songs, maybe, because As Daylight Dies is still king. And I could get into the more technical side of it about some of the licks that was played during the choruses and some of the guitar solos, which are technically pretty good, but every song has it, so it doesn't really stand out at all. It's all just, again, just very rinse and repeat. You hear one song, you can basically guess how the rest of the album's gonna go. With all that being said, this album's good. It's not great. I didn't hate, honestly, any part of it. I enjoyed majority of this album. 90% of it I actually really enjoyed. Even the parts of it that were slower and hard rock where I wanted them to go heavier, it was still overall good music. So with all that being said, it's a solid 6.7 on this one. And I'm pretty sure that most of the world would rate this album at a 10, but I still want to know what you guys think, so go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know if you've heard the album before. Let me know what you think. If you haven't, go ahead and give it a listen and let me know what you would rate it. And if you have a favorite album or an album that's about to come out that you want me to review, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what it is and I'll make it happen for you. And I hope you guys all have a great day. I hope you all have a good New Year's. Stay safe. Please don't drink and drive. Make good decisions. And I hate this saying, but I'll see you guys next year.
I was trying to make it relying on